Good afternoon from Sydney Harbour. I hope that you can hear me. I had to come to the city today and I thought I may try to record this IDA video here in central Sydney. After all, next year we have the pleasure of having the IDA Congress coming to Sydney, and I thought that I should show you some of this beautiful city so that you can all decide to come and participate in the Congress. Mind you, it's not only because Sydney is a beautiful city, but also because Australia has a lot of experience in desalination and reuse, many decades of it in fact. So you'll find a lot of people that will be interesting to meet here. And in terms of the IDA video, I'd like to reflect a second on one subject that I've been very keen since I was working with MSF plants in the 70s, which is the post-treatment of desalinated water, the quality of water. In those days, most of the time, you'd just have distilled water from MSF and you'd mix it with 1% of seawater. But already there was discussion of trying to do something better. If you had to put back some of the salts into the water, you may as well try to make the best in terms of quality for the palate and also for health. And it was interesting because if you are trying to get some guidelines from papers or the World Health Organization, there was not really very much. And in fact, there was not even a real limit for potable water. In fact, and after all, even these days, I mean, there is no real limit. You can drink water with 1,000 or 2,000 TDS. It's not very pleasant, but it is still edible. Because as the World Health Organization says, the quantity of salts you drink with your water are negligible compared to what you have with your food. And in fact, the amount of minerals that people need every day doesn't come from water, but comes from the food. And in fact, at the end of the day, it was recognized and that the necessity to treat desalted water is because it is very aggressive, it's very corrosive, and you have to stabilize it. You have to make sure that it doesn't corrode, in fact, the metal parts that it comes into contact with. Because in terms of health or palatability, well, water produced by desalination, whether it is with evaporative systems or whether it is with RO, it's already perfectly potable. And it is interesting that when I was in Sydney, in fact, in the early 80s, I tried to test what people preferred in terms of quality of water. And so with John Garoffi at the University of Sydney, we did some blind tests where we asked people to drink various types of water. It was tap water of Sydney, Evian water, and then desalted water, then remineralized with some of the mechanisms that one could think, like the 1% seawater, but also the full, complete solution with CO2 plus calcite or calcium carbonate to make artificial hardness, which in theory was supposed also to be very good for the palate of people. Well, the results were very surprising because the qualities of water that came up first were distilled water and water blended with seawater, which made us realize that probably it is very theoretical to think what is best for the palate of people. It depends on probably on culture, what people eat, what people expect to taste in water. What was certain is that when we tried 1% of seawater and 2% of seawater, everybody chose 1% of seawater, which meant about 350 TDS versus 700 TDS, which also means that the rough 500-600 TDS we keep as a practical limit these days is probably a good limit. The last thing I want to say, as I mentioned the World Health Organization, is that in desalination we should be very aware that when we dissolve water, whichever process we use, it's the only technique that the World Health Organization recognizes as producing already perfectly pure potable water. It doesn't need anything else. There is no other mechanism that can produce water from natural sources that is potable in just one step. Anyway, nice talking to you here from Sydney, and I hope to see you in 2022. Goodbye.